You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
Good afternoon, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk's MLB update. How are you? Not a bad day here in the Northeast, 60-ish degrees. Something like that. 60 degrees, whatever. Nice day in the Northeast for April. Sunny day. Oh, God, week one, guys, and we got a lot to talk about in an hour. And I hope we have a few people come in, add their comments, and we'll see where we go. But I want to welcome everybody watching today on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, the Roku channel, the National Streaming Sports Roku channel. We love all those people popping in and watching us there. I had an encore interview this morning. I played with Don Beebe, so it gave me a chance. I actually put it on. I was in a meeting, so I put it on my TV to watch it. Quality's pretty good. Maybe not the interview, but the channel itself. So hope you get those downloaded. Lots of great content all week long, all day long, really. What are we going to do here? Welcome to thanks to the groups that allow us to share this show and all my shows. John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings, America's Pastime, the Love for Baseball. Lots of great groups in there. Sorry, distracted a little bit by work stuff. Where was it? Greg Rawlings, America's Pastime, Flo and a Gang of Bottom Line Sports. Great podcast they do on their own. Check that out. You can see it live on Let's Talk Sports when they go on their YouTube channel, and Let's Talk Sports is doing a great job. Tanner and the gang, DDH thumbs up. Dan Harris, that was his baby, and Tanner D's been doing a great job of putting that all together. Sorry, my notifications are going off right and left now. What else was I going to say? Oh, who else? Ken Krause at Golf Bud, Sports of All Sorts. Quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff out of Pittsburgh, specifically the Sports Corner from 4 to 6 p.m. at Eastern every Tuesday with Smokin' Jim Frazier. Yours truly has been a host, or I should say a guest there several times, and always had a great time. And that's about it. We had an encore presentation. I want to thank Don Beebe for that interview we did a few months ago. It was a great interview this morning, and replayed this morning. We're in a little lull with guests right now, but we'll get through that. And these people, I'm telling you, they keep getting me losing my train of thought. So anyway, we'll be back with the sports. We'll be back with the Stream of Consciousness on Sunday, and summertime coming up, trips and whatever. So there could be some changes in schedules here and there, but we'll talk more about that. Lots to talk about in baseball. We got teams that are hot: the Dodgers and the Padres, the Giants, Phillies. Dodgers 8-0. They could break the win record this year. That team is that good. On the other side, and the Padres are keeping pace at 7-0. Braves on the other side, 0-7, losing a 1-0 heartbreaker last night. I don't know, Tani walk-off. I wouldn't get too excited if I was a Braves fan. You know, this isn't a great spot to be, and I believe I heard this morning that no team that's ever started 0-7, has ever made it to the playoffs. Most teams that start 0-7 aren't any good. The Braves will recover here. They're not hitting well. They're hitting about 150. They're pitching to an over 5 ERA. They'll get better. They're going to get healthier. They're going to get reinforcements in May with Acuna and Strider. This team will be okay. And with, 15 wild cards, they're certainly not out of that. But something to keep an eye on as we go forward. The Yankees and their torpedo bats off to a 4-2 start. Pitching's a little shaky. Judge is on fire. Not using a torpedo bat, by the way. Dave Portnoy, shut up because you don't know what you're talking about. Judge has not used a torpedo bat. Volpe and Jazz Chisholm and some other guys have. And by the way, this isn't a new phenomenon. There's been guys using those torpedo bats back to 2023. And there's players all over the league that are using this bat at the same time, not just since. Max Muncy's used one. I think he might have started after this. After this great start by the Yankees. By the way, the Brewers gave up 11 runs on Monday when they weren't facing the Yankees. So it could be the Brewers pitching played into that last weekend as well. Judge's great start. Profar suspended for the Braves. Not a good situation for them, obviously. We had some big extensions this week, which we can talk about. And the torpedo bat, though, listen, I'm kind of torn because, again, this is another situation. This isn't Major League Baseball now. This is teams. They're taking guys that can't hit because their problem was they're hitting everything on the label, which means they're getting jammed and, busting bats, hitting on the label, not getting the good part of the sweet part of the bat on the ball. Well, we can teach them how to do that, right? We've done that for centuries. Well, not centuries, but more than a century. Well, more than a century and a half. But it's just another extension of, instead of getting guys to approach their bats differently, change their swing, change their approach, their stance, their positioning in the batter's box. No, let's just put the meat of the bat where they hit the ball. And again, right now, by all reports, it's legal. But again, I'm not getting really worked over this because it seems like it's just going to be a fad that will pass. But again, it's an extension of what I've talked about before. We put in rules in Major League Baseball to try to overcome. Here I am frozen again. To try to overcome deficiencies. Let me see if I can reload myself here. See, when I cancel, I'm going to try that now. I reloaded and I canceled. And I didn't have to do anything. So let's see if that works from now on. Anyway, rather than trying to correct our deficiencies, we manipulate equipment to help them. Right? So I'm not sure how I feel about this. I think pitching's bad. I think that's a big part of this. And hitting's bad. You got 9 teams right now hitting under 200, by the way. It's early. We get 6-7 games played a team. 8 for the Dodgers because, they played those 2 games in Japan early on. And please stop telling me about the Dodgers start is even more remarkable when you think about all the travel they've had to do. First of all, they got 2 really de facto home games in my mind that they wouldn't have gotten because they don't have to go to Chicago. They had de facto home games in Japan because they've got all these Japanese stars. And when they came back, they had nearly 2 weeks to rest up. Please stop. So we can get into that. Reds lose 3 straight games, 1-run games, which hasn't happened in 65 years. Some extensions, as I said, Jackson Merrill, Campbell for the Red Sox, Crochet for the Red Sox. Can't read my writing here. D-back. Oh, Marte extended 3 more years. He's 31 years old. Oh, 6 years. I'm sorry. The city of St. Petersburg is going to put $22 million into rehabbing the dump that is Tropicana Field. Why? I got some very good advice for the fans in Tampa, St. Pete. Go out and support your team or you're going to lose them. You want a better stadium than that dump? Go support the team. They got 3 more years left on their lease there. And I'm going to get to your comments here in just a second. Just a couple things I was diving into. And Devers. How about Devers? He's only on a pace to strike out about 450 times. That might have lowered in the last 2 days, but still. Who you got with us today so far? That's me. JB's with us. How's your Orioles doing, my friend? On top? Not quite. On the bottom, 3-4. By the way, another not so hot teams and Braves we talked about, the whole AL Central, under 500. All the negative run differentials except those powerful Red Sox. Nats off to a bad start. Reds off to a bad start. Rockies 1-5. Maybe they'll make a run at the record this year. I need a team to make a run at the record. JB talks about Gunnar being back today. Bellinger now day to day. You know, I've seen some good things out of the Yankees. I've seen some bad things. Even the day they scored 20 runs and hit 9 home runs, they gave up 9 runs. They blow a big lead almost last night. The night before, they blew a lead. The bullpen gave up a 5 or 6 run lead. Again, things aren't all wine and roses because they're on a pace to hit 600 home runs. Good afternoon, Rick Sherlock. How are you, my friend? Keep the bats, Bandy. I don't know that I want the bats banned, quite frankly. And Rushman, by the way, is one of the guys who's been using a torpedo bat for the last year, I believe. You might know more than me on that, JB, but I don't know. Again, we give players crutches today. Rather than teaching them how to do it the right way and stop getting jammed to hit off the label, let's just give you a bat where all the meat of the bat is on the label. I don't know if I like it or I don't like it. Is it? Bear with me 1 second here. I got to check something quickly. Everything is an emergency, right? Could have swore I changed it for her. Must not have saved it. All right, hang on. So anyway, you know, I'm kind of a two. Anyway, let's continue here. We're not going to ban the Yankees. I look at the East might be a great race, but the Red Sox off to a bad start too. What are they off to? 3-4. What are they? 3-4. Devers, as I said, he's going to strike out about 140 times or 440 times this year. Good grief. So let's get your thoughts on all that stuff, guys. We'll look at the series coming up this weekend. Lots of young guys and not so young guys, when in the case of Marte, but Merrill, Crochet, Campbell, all getting extended early. Jack Hirsch brings this up. I brought it up a couple times in the last few weeks when I've been on the Mac and Jack show about he's a bigger fan of Brian Cashman than me. I'm not a big fan of Brian Cashman. And one place he really rips Cashman is he doesn't get out in front of signing guys early before they reach free agency. And this probably goes back past Brian Cashman, quite frankly, with the Yankees. And these teams are getting out in front, signing the Merrills for, what do you get? 135 for 9 years, I think. And that's all well and good. But if you're giving guys outs so that when that contract's obsolete, then you're making a mistake. You can't have both things, players. You can't have long-term security in this big, in his case, $135 million contract. Guys, that's generational wealth we keep talking about, right? And then, my contract's obsolete because so-and-so signed one for, $180 million for 9 years. You can't renegotiate and get long-term security. You can have one or the other. You're protected for life. Carlos was using a torpedo bat when he hit off Nolan Ryan. Yeah, well, unless that torpedo bat was like as big around as me, he still had no shot at hitting Nolan Ryan. Just an FYI. That's pretty funny, though, Rick. By the way, any of us stood in against Nolan Ryan, we would hear the ball go by us. Nolan Ryan, maybe my favorite pitcher of all time after Ron Guidry. Truly underrated. He gets bashed for his record, Nolan Ryan. I don't get off on a tangent here. But he pitched on horrible teams a lot too, by the way. Anyway. Let's go through the standings real quickly. The Blue Jays off to a pretty good start. Importantly for them, big decisions to make. I do think they'll probably get it done with, I think they're going to get it done when around that $500 million mark with Vlad. I think Bichette is probably going to walk. But this team needs to have a good year this year. They're getting old in certain places. They're off to a 5-2 start, which is good for them. They won 4 in a row. The Yankees are 4-2. The Rays are 4-2. Yankees a little up and down, scoring a ton of runs, man. 53 runs in 6 games. 20 of that in 1 game. But they're giving up a bunch, too. And I'm not crazy about the bullpen. Weaver did a good job last night. Williams had been out on paternity leave. He's back tonight. But the night before, geez, Leiter just, ooh. Post had a great headline the next day about Leiter fluid. And your Orioles are 3-4. All these teams with a plus run differential. The Royals lead, I guess. Theoretically, we have a 3-way tie, 4-way tie. And the Twins just a half game back in the Central. All the teams are 2-4 or 4-4. I'm sorry, 2-4 and 2-5. Everybody's got a minus run differential except for the White Sox. The Rangers off to a pretty good start. As you know, I am not really high on the Rangers. I did not pick them to make the playoffs. I think I had them predicted winning in the low 80s. DeGrom gets through 1 start pretty well. Or did he pitch more than that now? Will he have pitched twice yet? Let me just look at DeGrom's numbers quickly. Should have pitched twice. Let's look at DeGrom's numbers quickly. Oops, pitching. I wonder if he pitched twice. Nope, he hasn't pitched yet twice. Probably going to get that extra day of rest all the time. Now, he only pitched 5 innings. Let's not get excited. Struck out 6, no runs. Evaldi had a complete game in April. That's a shocker. He's pitched really well. 1.20 ERA. He's 1-0. So good for the Rangers. Back to the West. The Angels are surprising 4-2. They did get off to a decent start last year. They are being outscored, though. Astros 3-4. I do still have the Astros making the playoffs this year myself, finishing second to the Mariners, who have scored all of 18 runs in 7 games. Said the Rangers need to score runs. I'm sorry, the Mariners need to score runs, and so far they're not doing it. And the A's, 2-5. The National League, Phillies off to a 5-1 start. Marlins 4-3, surprisingly. They say they will not trade Sandy Alcantara, by the way. It'll be remain to be seen if they fall off the face of the earth here, record-wise, what they do. The Mets 3-3, bit of an uneven start there for them. Nationals 1-5, pretty bad start. We talked about the Braves being 0-7. I mean, Profar going out is going to hurt them. It's going to be hard for them to right this ship early in April. They just got to keep everybody in sight till May when they get Strider and Acuna back. They'll be all right. This is a veteran team, but not an old team, I don't think. They'll bring in reinforcements. Nobody's been better at bringing in reinforcements in the last 4 or 5 seasons than the Braves front office. They brought in Jock Peterson. They brought in Adam Duvall. They brought in Solar. They brought in Charlie Morton. They brought in all these guys that have all contributed, and they find a way to play off their strengths. They do a great job. So don't panic. I mean, if we're sitting here next week and they're 0-14, well, then we'll panic. Cardinals off to a surprising 4-2 start. Cubs at 5-4. Take away the 2 little games losses they had in Japan. You know, they gave up. Who gives up 2 home games to go to Japan? Now, I know they've got some Japanese players too, and that's probably why these 2 teams were picked. The Brewers, who are pitching to about a 6.5 ERA right now, somehow are 3-4. Won 3 in a row. You know, and going back to that opening series with the Yankees, I'm still not sure how much of it was, you know, the Yankees' approach at the plate, the torpedo bats, which, by the way, Judge, who hit 5 home runs, is not using. And how much was the bad Brewers pitching? Pittsburgh 2-5. The Reds, surprisingly, I do have the Reds winning this division. They're off to a 2-5 start. Dodgers 8-0. We said Padres 7-0. Giants 5-1. We got 8 wins in a row, 7 wins in a row, and 4 wins in a row. Diamondbacks 4-3. The Rockies 4-3. I'm sorry, Rockies 1-5. My wild card teams here were the Giants and the D-backs. I got the Padres out of this, and I said during our playoff preview show, or baseball preview show, I should say, that it's going to be tough for 2 wild cards to come out of the West because the Dodgers are going to win 115 or 20 games. I'd be shocked they don't make a run at the record, 116. So last year, the last couple of years, we've been tracking teams looking to break the loss record. We could be looking at a team to break the win record. Long ways to go. Don't get me wrong. We played 4% of the schedule or whatever. But we could have 2 teams. It may not be the Diamondbacks. It could be the Padres. But I think you could still get 2 teams out of here. If the Central is going to be bad, and you know the East is not what we think it is, and the teams that don't win play closer to 500, you could have 2 wild cards out of the West. Maybe 3. I did have the Giants, the D-backs, and the Cubs, by the way. So early on for these predictions to be worrying about them, right? Oh, who else? What else? Drew's not with us today. Drew might be traveling. I don't know. I didn't hear from him, so not sure where he's at. What other news do we have going on that I haven't touched on? Reds, as I said, the first team since 1960. That's 65 years ago for you guys who didn't go to Perth and can't math like myself. They've lost 3 straight by 1-0 scores. Freddie Freeman gets hurt, hurts his surgically repaired ankle in the shower. He's on the DL. Judge becomes the 3rd fastest Yankee to 500 extra base hits. Remember, though, Judge came up late. So he's not the fastest by age. He's the fastest by games. I said St. Petersburg is going to put $22.5 million in the Tropicana Field. It's a dump. I understand why players won't go there. No, it's DL. Sorry. I know I've offended a few people, and I'm sorry, but I don't have a problem with DL. And it's IL, the people they're using too. Rick, not injured reserve, injured list. And I'm sorry. I know we've had people in the room who are mad at me because I used disabled lists. I mean, I can't be offended. I can't. I just can't. JB brought the fact that Gunnar Henderson will be back tonight, supposedly to play against the Royals. They've missed him early on this season. D-backs and Marte reached this extension. One thing I should have mentioned at the top, too, by the way, I want to send my condolences out to the Gardner family. Last week, Brett Gardner lost his 14-year-old son tragically on a family vacation, a wonderful time in Costa Rica. The cause of death now has been ascertained as being carbon monoxide poisoning. 14 years old, his whole life ahead of him. Just a devastating time for any family. Not the normal order of things to lose a child. And they go before you, especially at 14 years old. So our hearts and prayers are with the Gardner family. That happened, I think it happened after we went off the air, maybe Friday. I don't remember exactly when. Last weekend sometime. Very sad story. I don't know. It's funny. And carbon monoxide is a dangerous thing, guys. If you don't have a carbon monoxide detector in your house, you damn well better have one. We have ours are combination smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. So have one, man. It's a dangerous killer. It's killed a lot of people. And it's something that you'll never know hits you. So I don't know about this resort that they were staying in. They claimed that the carbon monoxide levels were not above norm. I'm sure this is going to be a lawsuit. Who knows? Maybe somebody's criminally negligent. I don't know. We'll find out. But a sad story nonetheless, right? What else? Altuve, we talked about strikeouts and Devers. Altuve sets a career high with 5 strikeouts in a loss to the Twins yesterday. By the way, one thing, I picked the Astros to make the playoffs, but Altuve is very badly miscast in left field. He doesn't look like a guy who's going to pick this up soon. We'll see. The Dodgers traded for former AL Stolen Base Championship Asturi Ruiz from the Athletics. The rich get richer. Can you imagine if this team had managed to outbid the Mets for Soto? Be scary, right? What else happened in this first week of baseball? We talked about the torpedo bats. The Yankees have played baseball for 123 seasons. They won more than 10,000 games, played 41 World Series. And you would think there was nothing left to be done for them. Well, they had a record. They had never started a catcher in a leadoff spot. Never started a catcher in a leadoff spot. After 123 seasons, that's pretty shocking. And not only did they do that, but Austin Wells hit a home run. On top of that, Ricky Henderson, Derek Jeter, Johnny Damon, Brett Gardner, who I just mentioned, Alfonso Soriano once led off more than 3,000 games for the Yankees and never led off a game with a home run. In fact, according to James Smythe, I'm going to keep going here, of the Yes Network, the Yankees have never even led off the season with any kind of extra base hit since Roger Maris did it in 1960. Nice story last night, by the way, with the Yankees. Where's my scoreboard? Nice story by the Yankees, on the Yankees, where JC Escarra, who has spent, 10 years trying to make it to the major leagues, finally makes it with the Yankees, gets his first major league base hit last night, a double. Congratulations to him in the 9-7 Yankee win. Great job. Always call out the guys who got something to celebrate, right? We got a little day baseball today, too, by the way. The Tigers are leading the White Sox 7-1 today. The Red Sox are leading 6-4 over the Cardinals. Padres 1-1 with the Cubs. And the Mets 2-0 over the Blue Jays right now. Let me see. What's our boy Devers doing? Hold your breath. Devers. DHing. No strikeouts yet today, but he is 0 for no at bats. He's walked a couple of times. No strikeouts. Still hitting 111 with a sterling 294 on base percentage and a 148 slugging percentage. That away, Raffy. Lose some weight, dude. You look like me. Maybe he's not going to be able to DH. Maybe they're going to have to think about playing at first base and DH and Cassis. I don't know. Who's not hitting the cover off the ball either, by the way. Bregman needs to be the third baseman. We can look at, let's look at, let's see what else has been going on here. Nestor Cortez pitched against his old teammates because the Yankees are very left-handed. They're going to see a lot of left-handers this year until they show they can put some righties up there to offset their lefty power and strength. He gets bombed in the first inning, first 2 innings against the Yankees in his debut last Saturday. Now, I worried, too, because again, the Yankees gave up nine runs in that game. They scored 20. Sacramento, the A's have opened up in Sacramento. The big leagues showed up in Sacramento. No Cub had hit for the cycle in 32 years. In fact, only one catcher on any team ever hit for the cycle anywhere in the state of California. That was Charlie Moore, who did it in Anaheim 45 years ago. But Cubs catcher Carson Kelly wasn't alive to see any of that, and he went cycling. Congratulations to Carson Kelly. I think the cycle might be harder to get than like a no-hitter, if I remember the numbers. Oh, boy. So the A's played over 4,000 games in the Coliseum in Oakland. Guess how many visiting players at any position hit for the cycle there? Somehow that number is 0. And Kelly hits for the cycle in his first game in California. So I'm giving you some weird stats today. Then again, the odds that somebody would hit for a cycle on day one in any park under any circumstances are so long that our friends at Stats Perform, because we love all these crazy stats. Nobody had ever done it in the first game in any ballpark. Previous quickest cycle in a new park, according to, again, the Baseball Reference, who I live and die by, was set as recently as 122 games ago. Game 3, the great Mahaffey Park in Cleveland, Buck Freeman, excuse me. So if we had enough of this cycle recap. By the way, Carson Kelly has played 10 seasons, 1,800 at bats. He's had 2. That's his second triple when he hit for the cycle. That's just weird stuff going on. We had a reliever get hurt. Phillies reliever Matt Schramm got hurt packing up his daughter's toys and got cardboard jammed between his nail and his finger. It was also his second packing injury this spring. This guy ought to hire movers. I wish I could play this. I wish you could see this home run trot I'm looking at.
G with a fly ball to left field, sending Stowers hitting to the wall. For Nicky G.
This guy's limping around the bases after hitting a home run. Oh, God. What else we got? Oh, Joe DePew. I got to bring this up. Joe DePew was a lifelong friend of Bruce Springsteen. One of my favorite Springsteen songs is Glory Days. And in this song, there was an ode to his friend, who was a pitcher on their high school, who was a pitcher in high school. And they talked about this. And let's see, what's he was a Glory Days pitcher. And I don't know if his name was mentioned. I'm trying to read the article here. Yeah, they aren't going to give me the lines, but he was the pitcher that was referenced in the great song by the Boss, Glory Days. So a little irreverence today here on early in the season. Not a ton going on. One thing I thought we might do is look at Torpedo Mania. You just can't do it. I want to get worked up, but I'm not sure that I can. See what's in the mailbag. What's wrong with Rafael Devers? He's fat. He's upset, pouting. What else you need to know? Anything else in here I like? Think about this too. The Dodgers, as good as they are going to get better. They're going to get Kershaw back. They're going to get May back. They're going to get Gonsolin back. They're going to get Ohtani pitching at some point. And they've done it without, they've got almost a $400 million payroll and another $400 million deferred, basically. Going to be, the Roosters will come home to roost. No, sorry. Chickens will come home to roost at some point, but how about the Padres, too? By the way, Cal Raleigh's another guy that got an extension here recently. 6 years, $105 million. The guy doesn't hit much, but he's a really good catcher. The Mariners have got to look to lock up guys like Logan Gilbert, who's my pick to be the Cy Young Award winner. Was he? Logan Gilbert, my Cy Young Award winner. I gave Billy a call if you're needing to be wound up. You can give Billy a call anytime. But tell him to wind me up on a torpedo. Here's the problem with me getting wound up on a torpedo bat. I'm not going to get excited about it that much because I don't think it's a big deal. My bigger deal is people saying, oh, this is the Yankees. This is the Yankees. Let me tell you the guys that are using it. Where are we? Here we are. I had a pretty good list of guys. Where'd it go? And as long as they meet standards, my biggest problem is here we are trying to help players overcome weaknesses by giving them a crutch. I don't like it. So Billy's not going to know which side of this argument to come in on because I don't know which side I'm on yet. My only problem was the way that they were getting on the Yankees. Like they're the only team that does it. They do have more guys than anybody else, yes, and there's some talk that Stanton may have had his elbow tendonitis issues from swinging that bat in the World Series and a postseason in general and in the offseason. But Junior Camarino is using it. Ryan Jeffers is using it. David Schneider's using it. Dela Cruz in Cincinnati's using it. Francisco Lindor is using it. So, look at this. Isn't something the Yankees did take it to the next level, I guess. And they're off to a great start. It's a small window of our small sample size that we're looking at here. Don't think we need to worry about that. Do you? What else do I have for you guys here today? Lindor. I mean, I guess my biggest problem is they did it specifically for Lindor and Chisholm because they were getting jammed and hit the ball at the label so much. Again, why don't you teach them how to hit the ball? I know it's a novel concept. I had a let's look at the power rankings real quick, right? We can do that. These are going to be ESPN's power rankings, and we're 1 week into the season. This came out yesterday. Number one, no doubt, Dodgers. Phillies are number two. I might make an argument there. Padres are 3. Yankees are 4. Diamondbacks 5. Rangers 6. Not buying that one. Baltimore 7. Sounds right. Mets 8. Rays 9. Astros 10. Braves 11, even with their 0-7 mark. Again, to my point, don't get excited. You know, if they were 20 games over 500 and lost 7 in a row in July, we'd barely notice this. Well, it's not good. I mean, you notice a 7-game losing streak anytime. But when you lose it to start the season, it really stands out. Giants, the surprising Giants, who I did pick in the playoffs, second year in a row, I've got them getting a wild card bid. I like what they've done with getting Willie Adames. I think I like their pitching staff a little more than Drew did last week. Red Sox are at 13. Cubs are at 14. Royals at 15. Probably better than that. Seattle at 16. I picked them to win the West, but again, if they don't get their act together on offense, they're gonna suck. You have the best pitching staff in the league. If you can't score 4 runs a game, you're going to lose. Tigers 17, Reds 18. Oh, they'll improve. Cardinals, despite being 4-2 at 19. Blue Jays, despite being 5-2 at 20. The Guardians, who I thought would drop. Angels at 4-2 at 22. Angels 23. Brewers 24. How bad is the Brewers pitching? Torpedo bats or not? Twins, Marlins, Nationals, Pittsburgh, Chicago, and the Rockies bring up the last spot. Scott Kobe's with us. What do you got, Scott? You can't give up 5 runs to the Cardinals at home and win games. I agree 100%. Seattle can't strike out way too much as they usually do. I can say that about your Red Sox right now. Are they going to get it together? Rafael Devers on a pace to strike out 400 times. Now, we know that's not going to happen. Where did I have this? I already had this up somewhere. Did I get rid of it? I must have. That's fine. Hitting leaders by team. Where's my American League? Oh, I want team. There we go. Team statistics. Well, I guess we got to go one by one. Thought I had them ranked by team earlier. Let's see what the Red Sox are doing. Abreu's hitting well. They're hitting 229, 303, 371, 674 OPS. Not good. Strikeouts, 75 and 240 at bats. That's pretty bad. Devers, 16 strikeouts and 27 at bats. I guess his run rate is down to about 250 or 300. Oh, God. He hasn't struck out yet today, Scott. Take Devers out of the lineup. They really haven't struck out much. 75 out of 240 is about 40% of the time, isn't it? Again, I went to Perth. Yeah, well, 31% of the time. That's a lot. I mean, Devers has 16 strikeouts. Tony Gwynn had like 5 years with less than 20 strikeouts in a season. And I know the game's played differently. I think 75 strikeouts in 7 games, that's 10 strikeouts a game. Or 6 games, that's 12 strikeouts a game. Now, if you take Devers and Cassis out of there, you know. Story struck out 9 times. What's their pitching do? What do you think about the extension for Crochet? Scott, to me, I gotta see another year out of him, another healthy year out of him, and a year like he had last year before, you know, after 2 games this year, and he's pitching really well. Don't get me wrong. You know, they tied up, what'd they tie up? $170 million over 6 years. Pitching's been pretty good. And I got to tell you, why is Richard Fitz listed twice on their stat line? I really like Tanner Houck. I know he hasn't pitched great to start the year, but I like Tanner Houck in this rotation. I really do. David Guyette up in Amsterdam, big Yankee fan. Yes, Judge's off to a great start. Judge's matched probably his numbers till about mid-May last year so far. And contrary to what that blowhard Dave Portney has to say, he's not using a torpedo bat. So shut up. Now, again, I'm still not sold on whether I'm for the torpedo bat or against it, because, again, I don't like the fact that we cover up our weaknesses by just adjusting the equipment to adjust for our own lack of success. You should trade Devers, but not to us, please. We need a third baseman, one that it isn't my size. Scott loves the Crochet extension, and I think as a front office, you need to make a statement that this is your guy. I don't disagree, and I talked about it at the top of the show, and Jack Hirsch has mentioned it a few times in the last few weeks on the Mac and Jack show, that some of these teams are getting out in front of this. Now, guys who are at injury risk like Crochet, I'm not so sure. I just need to see more out of him. But in general, I'm in favor of this. They signed Campbell as well to a long-term contract. And again, I get it. You want to commit to the guys? You got to make sure you got to hit these right, though, or it hurts you. One place that Brian Cashman has always fell back on and been behind the curve on. Why is there always an urgent request at work at 4:00 on a Friday? Can somebody explain that to me? And I'm marked away. Oh, no, I didn't make myself away. Damn it. I'm going to mark myself away right now. Let's see how urgent I think it is. Anyway, signing Campbell, I think, was a good move, too. So Cashman's been behind the curve on all this. You got Volpe, you got Dominguez. You've had guys in the past that you probably didn't hold on to. The Yankees have let guys get to free agency too often without signing them early. So I like the teams that are getting out in front of this. And we see a lot of it. We saw it with Jackson Merrill this week. We saw it with Campbell and Crochet, as I mentioned. We saw it with, Marte's not a young guy, but we've seen it with a few players this spring as well. The Sox also signed 8-year extension. I think he's been a positive addition. I think he can be the real deal, but time will tell. Again, you got to be sure he's a real deal, though, Scott, right? You have to be confident he's a real deal, because if you miss on these deals, that's the downside. I like the fact that these teams gamble and lock these guys up early. But here's the other thing, too. And I mentioned this at the top, and I mentioned it also every time we talk about baseball and extensions. Don't give them lifetime security. Well, not lifetime. They may sign another contract. You're giving these guys generational wealth. You don't give them an out after 2 years or 3 years or any years. If you want the security of that long-term contract, and I'm going to give you, in Campbell's case, $60 million over 8 years, fine. Talk to me in 8 years. When you feel you're not getting paid at value, at fair market value, then you should not have locked yourself into an 8-year contract. So from the player's perspective, yeah, you're guaranteed $60 million. Kristen, is it Kristen? Don't come looking in 2 years when you say, geez, I'm worth more than this. Not going to give you security and give you options to opt out. That sounds redundant. I think younger players, you can sign to long-term extensions for short money in today's game. You can, Scott, but again, with the stipulation, I'm not letting you out of that contract in 2 years when you think it's obsolete, which is what their agents are going to do. You know they are, because it's smart. If you can get that option to get out, this is a brilliant move for any young player, because you're guaranteed X amount of dollars. And if you're going to let me opt out after 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, whatever it is, you're going to give me a chance to make even more. I don't want to give you that chance. I'll pay you again in 6 years or 8 years or whenever your contract comes up. A lot of these guys we're talking about will still be 30 years old and in line for another big contract, one that they won't earn the dollars on the back end. 100% agree with me. Nobody ever 1,000% agrees with me. Look what happened in Tampa, and you have your background checks on guys before you do this. Yeah. Wander Franco is a great cautionary tale. For anybody. Yeah, well, what do I care? I mean, why do you send me when you know I get done? I'm just not going to respond to these people. Oh, anyway, we'll see. I'll respond after. Am I the only guy who has a problem with urgent stuff coming by my desk at 4 o'clock on a Friday, when theoretically I'm done at 3? I never punch a clock. I get done here doing this show, and I always go back and check work. And if there's something that has to be done, I'll take care of it. So I might end up working another 2 hours. Bye. Sorry, that's my problem. I don't know why I'm laying it on you guys. It is great baseball's back. I agree, Scott. I'd like to see a little better pitching. I mean, geez, I talked about the hitters, right? I mean, you got 3 teams. You got 3 teams pitching really well with ERAs over unders too, but you've also got 9 teams with ERAs over 5. I know it's early and this will all straighten out, but too many off days too. I mean, how the Mets and Dodgers, I'm not sure who else had Sunday off. Why? Let's look at the matchups for the weekend before I go. Bear with me here while I get to the MLB schedule. Here's the weekend matchups. We got the White Sox at the Tigers. It'll kick off tonight with Cannon against Flaherty. The Cardinals will be at Boston again. Petty against Buehler. Buehler, my comeback player of the year pick in the American League, Scott. Thing I noticed is that hitters look to be more aggressive swinging earlier in counts. Well, I think they should be less aggressive later in counts and put the ball in play. So Feedy against Buehler. And as I said, I had Walker Buehler as my comeback player of the year in the American League. San Diego will be at the Cubs. Vasquez against, I can never say this, guys. I know it's not that hard. You know who I mean. Shota. The Blue Jays will be at the Mets. Gausman against McGill. The A's will be at Colorado. The horrible Rockies. Maybe they'll be the team that makes a run at 122 losses. That'll be Beto against Feltner. Yankees will go to Pittsburgh. Fried against Keller. Seattle goes to San Francisco. The surprising Giants against with Castillo against Verlander. Nice matchup there, I think. D-backs go to Washington. Off to a bad start. Fat at Irvin. The Dodgers will have an early trip to Philadelphia in a interesting matchup early in the season. Yamamoto and the underrated Luzardo tonight. That's on Apple TV, so get ready for some bad production. Miami will go to Atlanta. Meyer against Schwellenbach. A lot of people say he's a star waiting to break out. The Braves are looking to break out themselves after an 0-7 start. The Orioles will go to the Royals. Creamer against Lugo. Creamer's a guy I like. Rays against Texas. It'll be Littell against Maul. I think the strategy in Texas is to pitch the ground once a month. The Reds will go to Milwaukee. Martinez against Alexander. And the Indians will be at the Angels tonight. Gavin Williams against Soriano. So some interesting matchups. We got torpedo baseball. We got a lot of other stuff going on. Check it all out. I'll be back on Sunday with the Stream of Consciousness. We'll be back next Friday and pretty much every Friday through the summer with the MLB update. We'll let you know where we get with some one-on-one interviews going forward. And if we don't have them, I'll get you a really good one. There's a great one this morning. Go back and watch from Tom Beebe from a couple of months ago. I thank everybody for tuning in today. Everybody for their participation. Good luck this time. I will say this. So, for everything, really
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.